You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies. I'm your host, Jason Marshall. Regular listeners, I know what you're thinking. Jason messed up. He forgot to put the intro music in the show. Probably forgot to hit record when the show started. Had to scramble to do it again. That's not what happened. The next few shows, there won't be any intro music. I'm going to be using new intro music for the podcast, starting with the anniversary episode. That's going to be up Monday, July 31st. The new music's probably going to be drastically different from the old music, and just keeping music off the show till then, just so it's not that big of a shock. I've been wanting to change the music for a while. I keep saying I'm going to change the music, and I never have. I just never thought, at least for a while, I didn't think it fit the tone of the show. You know, you get this heavy metal music, and then here I am. And it didn't make sense.
Just a good old boy.
Yeah.
Bert. Never doing no harm.
Mama Kate will be singing the new intro song.
No, I won't. Don't tell people that, because then they'll expect it. They'll demand it.
Ooh.
And then it won't happen, and then you'll just look like an ass.
That music was actually for a show that I used to do that I've erased from the internet. And since I own the rights to the music, I thought, well, I'll just carry it over to this show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't think it fits.
Yeah.
You know? And there's going to be a lot of changes coming up on the anniversary show, but we will get into that on the anniversary show. We're not going to talk about that today. But the months of Jason just keep going. What better way to celebrate the months of Jason? This particular month, I'm bringing on all the people that have helped me get to where I am. And one of those people is the most frequent guest on the show. It's Mama Kate.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
And where exactly have I helped you get, Jason?
To the upper bottom of iTunes.
Yeah, the upper bottom. Woo!
You know, I don't even know where we are on iTunes. I never look. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, I tuned in to Cave Crew Radio Thursday. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to be on there.
Well, we had a family emergency, but beyond that, they never sent me a link or number or any way to get a hold of them or contact them on the show. Every time they've asked me to come on, they say, we'll send you a link, and then I get nothing, and then they're like, where were you? And I'm like, where the hell am I supposed to be? You know?
Yeah. They said something about I guess they have their own version of martial law over there. It's, I don't remember what it's called. Do you? I think it has something to do with New York City, like a alleyway justice or something.
Yeah, something like that. I did hear, but I don't remember. I
was looking forward to hearing you on there. I forget what the case was supposed to be about.
It's slandering Choo Choo Stew, actually, yeah. Which, after having listened to their show, I'm like, really? You're gonna... I don't see how anything I said could have possibly slandered any individual on this show. You guys do that great all by yourselves.
I did hear, I think it was DK say that martial law doesn't have international jurisdiction.
But yeah, they didn't know that question had already been settled previously.
But I gotta say, I gotta take issue with people who say that. Because I have frequent guests on here from New Zealand, the UK, and Canada. And I'm not throwing this out there to brag. It's just a fact that we have, for some reason, been downloaded in over 100 countries. I'm not saying I have regular listeners in 100 countries. That would be awesome.
Just saying that in 100 countries, people have accidentally clicked on this podcast.
I would be right next to Joe Rogan if I had people in 100 countries. I don't think Joe Rogan has people in 100 countries listening. So I don't want anybody out there thinking that I'm overinflating shit. But I think it's pretty fair to say we have international jurisdiction just as well as anybody else.
Yeah.
And, just as a little tease, we might have even more credit internationally, starting on January 31st with the 2-year anniversary episode.
Why do you keep saying January 31st?
I don't know.
July 31st.
I guess, yeah, it's so weird. That's the second time I've said that.
Yeah,
we had to start the show over because I started out that way. Yeah. The 2-year anniversary, I will be announcing something that will happen in January. So stay tuned at the end of the month. There'll be a special announcement about next year. I don't think we have had a show since the Diesel show.
I know, I don't think so.
I want to thank everybody who performed.
What
everybody
a disaster
who
that.
That's what I was going to say. Everybody who performed did a great job, but the show as a whole, besides the performances, could not have went worse, I don't think. We had 2 people cancel last minute.
Yeah.
One canceled the day of the show.
Yeah.
One just didn't show up.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of not showing up, neither did the audience.
Well, no.
But it's not their fault.
No,
we had
we
much.
actually known that. And I tried to dissuade the bar from having the show that night because of the things that were going on in town.
Yeah,
it was Pride weekend. This is a gay venue. They were having a memorial for the Pulse shooting that night. So, I mean, right there, that took away. Plus, they were having a Journey tribute band down at the park.
Yeah.
And another comedy show at a bar across town.
And the only other gay bar, like you said, they were having this huge fundraiser.
Yeah, for the Pulse shooting, yeah.
Their regular clients were presumably going over there at least
in
for
fact,
the night.
Even the owners of Diesel, where we were at, left as soon as the show was over and went over there. So, and I guess that's, them being bar owners, they're like, oh, it'll be fine. Me having done comedy now for a few years and having done enough shows to know better,
we had a stacked deck against us. I mean, there's nothing else they could have thrown out there except for there was just a surprise Barnum and Bailey circus where they're bringing elephants back right next door. That's the only way it could have been worse.
And I had it in my head when we originally did the show. I was like, all right, I haven't done any shows since my accident. I'm gonna do this. I need to get back on the actually performing in front of people. I guess it was just a cockiness that before I broke my leg, I had done 12 shows in 3 weeks. So I was doing a lot of shows at the time when I broke my leg. So I didn't have to prepare or, I kind of work out the bits and then I'd write notes about what I was going to do and then I would go on and everything would be fine. And for some reason, I still thought I could do that being out 2 years. And I think I thoroughly proved that that was not the case. It was a pretty horrifying experience. And the worst part was knowing that you had recorded it and were putting it on the podcast for people to listen to. And I'm like, what can I do?
Well, that was the other disaster. I think if anybody listens back, I don't think anybody ever noticed anything really went wrong because I took parts of that out.
Yeah.
But that was the other part that did go wrong is the person who usually helps me record the show, we were going to do it a different way where I plugged my recorder directly into the mixer and we were going to have another recorder out in the crowd to get the crowd reaction. And I was going to put the 2 audio recordings together.
Yeah.
And that way we would finally have a recording that sounded awesome. And we thought we had it this time, but the guy couldn't make it out.
Yeah.
And now you got a recording where you can't hardly hear any of the audience and all of the comedians have a slight echo. Which, if you listen to that show and you listened all the way through, God bless you. I really appreciate that. And it was a great performance by everybody who did it. So you were going to get some laughs out of it, but it's kind of hard to listen to somebody do stand up and hear no crowd reaction to.
Yeah, it is.
But I did say I was going to put the show out.
So
I knew some people were listening, just waiting for that show to come out. So.
Well, I know of famous comedians who, and I won't mention names because I don't want to embarrass this person if people don't know this about him, but there is one comedian I know specifically who did a special for Comedy Central, and it went so horribly that they showed it one time at 2:00 in the morning, and this comedian actually walks off stage in the middle of it.
Wow.
And that was the end. At the time, I thought it was a joke, but that was no, that was really the end.
Damn.
So I was like, well, at least it didn't go that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's good to have that experience getting back into it, because it's like, oh, yeah, this really sucks. Now I remember why I had to work so hard in the beginning, you know, before I got to the point where I was doing shows every weekend and I didn't have to work so hard at it.
And it's got to get better from here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It can't get that bad.
Yeah.
So are you going to do it again?
The problem that I'm having right now is just coming up with new material. I had this stuff that I was doing before my accident that I had solid. I had it down. It was good. But since my accident, I just feel like, I don't know, like I don't have it. It's like something, like I've lost something. Some part of like some brash self-confidence that I had before I did something so incredibly stupid that has now made me doubt my entire self, you know? Like, when my 85-year-old grandma thinks that it's safer for her to drive than for me to drive, like I know that my credibility is seriously taking a hit. Yeah, I just don't have that. Yeah, and I don't know.
Since we're talking about gay bars, I have a scenario for you. I want you to help me out on this. I'm a Big Brother fan. I love Big Brother. I watch every episode on TV, and I watch the After Dark episodes every night. We were talking about it when it first debuted. It was me, my oldest daughter, my wife, and there's a gay guy on Big Brother. His name's Ramses. I hate that kid. And the reason I hate him is because he's just a little too over the top. If you've never seen Big Brother, it's kind of hard for you to imagine this maybe. I'll do the best I can to describe it, but there's a portion of the house where you can walk upstairs and there's like a little balcony area with the table. You can clearly see over the railings. And they were trying to figure out if anybody was coming up to hear what they were talking about. Ramsey's kid gets on the floor and is military crawling over to the edge so he can look down to see if anybody's coming up the stairway, when everybody else who was sitting at the same table as this kid just barely moves their neck up and can see no one is coming. So that really annoyed me. There were small little things like that. And my oldest daughter says that I'm homophobic because I don't like that kid. And there was a woman who was on the season before. She was a lesbian. I didn't like her because she was very manipulative and she cried all the time. Yeah. It's the same reason I can't stand the lady who is in Homeland. She's not gay, so that's not why I hate her. I hate her because she tears up all the time, and it's too much overacting.
Well, I think for people, we just naturally don't like certain people. And you don't like him not because he's gay, but because he's annoying to you. I mean,
that's what I said. But then she said, well, the season before that, there was another gay person on. He's Ariana Grande's brother. His name's Frankie. And I didn't like him because he was way too over the top. I like reality shows where people don't act like they're on reality shows. Yeah. I want people to be themselves and be real. And you could tell to me, it seemed like he was portraying a character. No, and I'm sure that probably is his personality, but he seems very fake.
I can think of one person in particular that I'm friends with on Facebook. And when I read this person's posts, I'm like, wow, it's almost like you're trying to be a stereotype. Like it makes me want this person to be real. Like, give me something real, because this stuff that you're talking about isn't you, you know? Yeah. And I don't like that either. I know what you mean.
We can talk about Doug Morgan later, but I want to get back to Big Brother. I'm just kidding, Doug, if you hear this. But I told them I don't dislike them because they're gay. Yeah. The reason I don't like them is because I don't like them.
Yeah. I think if you were truly homophobic, you wouldn't have jumped at the chance of having a show at a gay club. You know?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, that was the other thing. I love Amanda Sue Fuck Punch. Yeah. I love her. She's amazing. I want to have her on the show sometime. Yeah. Ooh, maybe that's why she hasn't been on the show. Maybe deep down, I really do hate gay people. No, I'm just kidding. But that's something that I brought up. But I do wish we would come up with another word, though, because I hate the term homophobic.
Yeah.
Because any other phobia, if you have arachnophobia,
nobody's
you don't
like, you're an asshole. Why don't you like spiders?
Yeah, nobody's going on Facebook spreading anti-spider propaganda because they're afraid of spiders. And it just seems weird that people who are intolerant...
anti-spider propaganda.
It just seems weird that I would rather call people like that intolerant. It seems a lot more harsher than homophobic. I just wish we had a better word. We need to work on that. Maybe we'll work on that in season 3 of the show.
Come up with a better word. Other than homophobic.
Yeah. Speaking of gay people and alcohol... A bear walked into the open front door of an Alaskan liquor store. Mm. The owner of the store was scared shitless. He was working. He said he saw the bear walk in. At first, he thought it was just a really large dog. Realized what it was and just completely froze up. Who could blame him?
Yeah,
it would scare the shit out of me.
He just had to get party supplies. I mean, what a bigot against bears. I mean, a bear comes into your place and you're so scared.
You're homophobic.
You
don't like bears of any kind.
Is it because it was a black bear?
The thing that really got me, I watched the video, and maybe we need to start this award. This guy would get it hands down. Balls of steel. There was a customer in there that just walked right up to the bear, yelling and clapping his hands till the bear walked out.
Yeah.
And I thought, Jesus, I know they tell you to make a lot of noise and do that, but who really has the balls to be like, you know what? That seems like the right plan.
Shoo, you bad bear.
I'm not going to lock myself in the storage room.
You're not even 21. Let's see some ID.
I'll have the video of that up on the Facebook page and or the website, but... Dude, that blew me away. And I would be the owner. I wouldn't be the guy just, I don't know, maybe I would. I played with a skunk for a half hour in my backyard, but I never thought I'd do that either.
Here they are just like cats. I mean, people get their scent glands removed and keep them as pets.
No, he came up and was sniffing my shoes.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about this on the show before, so I won't talk about it anymore. But when he did that, I thought, man, if anything spooks this guy, I'm done. It's not like I can run from this distance.
Yeah,
he is in front of my shoes. Yeah.
Did I tell you about the time my sister invited me over to have pizza and watch movies with her and stuff? Yeah, so I go over, we go out back, we're sitting on the patio, her cat walks up on the patio. Like, oh my God, what is that smell? He had just been sprayed by a skunk. So our night of pizza and movies turns into, you got to help me wash this cat. Now, of course, I'm allergic to cats. You know, and if cats scratch me, like I swell up, I have a hard time breathing. And so I'm like, I can't hold the cat. You know, so my sister's holding him, like cuddling him, trying to keep him still, while I'm standing at the sink with the sprayer, just spraying the shit out of her and the cat from as far away as I can get. Like, shh. So that was fun. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, guys, we're going to take a really short break. We're just going to play one segment this week. It's Fake Advice for New Comics by Dave Nelson.
And now, Comedy A Go-Go presents Fake Advice for New Comics.
How will other open micers know how funny your set was if you don't tell them about how you crushed it?
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com.
You can also call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail. All of that contact info will be in the show notes. And I was a guest on the Comedy A Go-Go podcast with Dave Nelson. That was a segment you just heard. That will be out this Wednesday. Make sure you look for a link in the show notes for his podcast and listen to that. And I want to thank him for having me on. That was a lot of fun. And he will be on this podcast either this Thursday or next Thursday. Another podcast that I was on happened while it was storming outside this week.
Yeah.
I told the guy, just in case, hey, we're having a major storm.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, I didn't hang up on you. You didn't say something to offend me. It just, the power went out. I'll be damned if this apple tree in my backyard just got uprooted and fell over. And I was kind of happy about it.
You didn't want the tree?
No. And the only reason I kept it is my little girl likes to climb the tree.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, I would have cut it down years ago. So now that it fell over, it's like, oh, well, sorry, kid.
People want apple trees because they think they can just plant an apple tree and it's just going to give you these beautiful apples, but it's not. Like, it has to be maintained and cared for, like a tomato plant or, you know, a watermelon plant. It's not just, you can't just plant it in your yard and have it give you these perfect apples.
Yeah.
And then you don't take care of them, so you don't want them, you don't eat them, and then they just fall on the ground, and then the birds get them, and the bees are hovering all around. I mean, they're just a pain in the ass. You got to pick them all up because you have to mow. It's a horrible idea. Don't buy an apple tree.
I was really happy that it fell, to be honest with you. And the thing was, oh God, at least 40 years old. Yeah. And I don't know how many people out there really know much about apple trees, but once they get to a certain age, the apples really aren't that good anymore. Yeah. So I was wanting to replace it, and now I get to.
What are you going to replace it with?
Well, I'm going to put another, it's probably a red delicious apple tree. I already got a yellow delicious one out there, so I'm just going to have that so they can pollinate each other. Anyway.
But did you make sure to get a male and a female tree?
I don't know.
Just messing with you.
I did buy a ginkgo tree. I talked about this a long, long time ago on the show, but apparently, I think it's female ginkgo trees have these pieces of fruit that are on them. When they get ripe and they fall off the tree, it smells like rotten eggs and vomit.
Ew.
But it's only the females. So I made sure when I bought it, I'm like, this is a male, right? And they're like, yeah, we only buy males. And in the back of my mind, I thought, I'm never going to know if it's a female until it's like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then it's too late, and I got this big-ass tree in my yard that I have to cut down.
Just for future reference, they will not take the tree back.
Yeah.
My cousin bought 2 plum trees, but they were supposed to be the non-fruit-bearing plum trees. And one was a non-fruit-bearing plum tree, but one is not. And she wanted to take it back, and they would not take it back. Which I think there should be some accountability. You get somebody the wrong tree. I mean, they put them in her car. You know, it's not like she picked them out and said, I want this one and this one. She said, I want 2 of these trees, and they went and got them and put them in her car, and they were not right. So that's her fault? That seems like they should have to take that tree back.
Especially with the ginkgo tree, because it clearly has a very bad problem with these smelly fruits, but...
Put that right up next to the house.
Yeah, that's why it's in the backyard, just in case. Oh, I have a question from my last guest. We haven't done this for a while. The premise is I get a question from my last guest to ask my next guest without my last guest knowing who my next guest will be. So if you'd like to know who my last guest was, please listen to the last episode. And don't cheat. Don't go in the archives and just look at the person posted, which would be way easier. And to be honest, would probably be hard not to do if you're downloading the episode. I don't know if I could just do that. Whatever. The question is, what would be the first thing you would buy or service you'd pay for if you hit the big time lottery jackpot?
I'd go buy a house on Lake Erie.
That sounds nice.
We vacation at the same place every year since I was in junior high, lakeside on Lake Erie, and it's by Marblehead and Put-in Bay. You can see Put-in Bay. You can see the lighthouse from there. But it's just like this gated community. You have to have a pass to get in. You pay to be there. And so it is the safest place I have ever been. And they have activities for the kids. They have entertainment in the evenings. They have putt-putt. They just build a pool. They have, parks and all kinds of stuff. And it's only about a mile squared. Like, it's a pretty small place. But
so you can walk to everything.
Exactly. Yeah. You ride your bike. You walk. You park your car up in the lot. You don't even keep it around. They have a movie theater. They have shops. They have everything there. And we've gone there every year. And my parents have a camper up there, but it's so expensive to buy a house. To buy a house at the lake there, it's a couple $1 million, which you think like Lake Erie in Ohio, who's buying these $1 million houses on the lake? But it's surprising.
I've been there a few times. It's pretty nice up there, so that's a good choice.
And I'd buy one for us and then one for my family to stay at because they're not staying with me. I love you, but there is such a thing as too much togetherness. So we'll have a house and then like a guest house next door.
I like that. Well, guys, we're going to cut things a little short this week. So that leads us to this week's Dumbass of the Year. This week's Dumbass of the Year was in Florida, where Port Orange police arrested a man for stealing a forklift to get him where he needed to go because he was tired of walking. The man is 43-year-old Bradley Barefoot. No shit, that's somebody's real last name. When they arrested him, the man was on a forklift, parked in a handicap spot, screaming and yelling curse words at nobody while he threw his hands in the air and was barefoot.
Well,
so I thought that was funny.
Barefoot thing is probably like his regular way.
Yeah, he's living that barefoot lifestyle.
Exactly. What other way is there to be in Florida in summertime?
When your name's Barefoot, man.
I mean, I guess I understand why he had to park in a handicap spot. I mean, it was the spot that was big enough to leave the. Did you say it was a front loader or a bulldozer? What?
It was a forklift.
A forklift. Oh, a forklift.
Yeah. So that's even more just glaring, you know?
Yeah.
How, as a police officer, can you just drive by and see this guy? Just like, no, that seems fine.
It's all right.
Yeah.
He's good. I'm sure he's licensed. Yeah. I don't think you're allowed to just drive those on the roadway. I mean, it's like a regular vehicle. I don't know what the rules are. But I could understand that. I mean, I've certainly been tired and thought, you know what? I could drive this fucking forklift. They clearly left the keys in here for anyone to use.
Yeah. What's great is this isn't the first time the guy has been arrested. Mm-hmm. And I think being arrested for this and how he was acting when he was arrested, you kind of figured he's probably been arrested before.
Yeah. Drugs?
He was arrested for the exact same thing last year. The exact same thing.
Well, it worked out so well the first time.
What a dumbass. And not just the exact same thing as far as stealing a forklift. Exact same reason. Mm-hmm. And he was barefoot then, too.
Did park in a handicap spot as well.
I don't know. I have to check into that. He just found, the last year, he found one behind Best Buy.
Oh, yeah.
And just fired it up and took it.
Well, who hasn't wanted to just drive a forklift willy-nilly?
Well, he's got to be tired because if he's behind Best Buy, he's already taken shortcuts to wherever he needs to go. So he's clearly very tired.
Well,
he's not sticking to the main
when
roads.
When you're barefoot and walking around in hot-ass Florida, you just need to get off your feet.
That's so fucking weird.
That is weird. Well, it was so rude to park in a handicap spot. I mean, they're at a premium these days, people.
I just don't know how you think you're going to get away with it. I mean, I know you're tired.
Away with it.
I know you're tired and you want to get to where you need to go.
But where does he need to go?
But the point is getting to where you need to go. You're not going to get to where you need to go.
It's not like he's headed to work, you know?
How are you going to get to where you need to go if you get arrested? Yeah. And you know it's going to happen. You're driving down the fucking road on a forklift, dumbass. That's pretty conspicuous. People are going to notice that. Mm-hmm. It's fucking weird. He is the epitome of this week's Dumbass of the Year. Mm-hmm. He might go all the way. He might win it. He could be he's definitely the guy that's in the lead, I would say. Well, I want to thank you for being part of the podcast. It's been 2 years. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. You've been on, I'd have to say you've been on more than anybody in the last 2 years. So, and I also want to thank all the people who download the show. Please keep spreading the word about the show, especially during the months of Jason. I have a lot of stuff planned and can't wait for you guys to find out what it is. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. And that's it for this episode. I'll talk to you Thursday. We had another short episode again this week. So what I'm going to do is play an episode with Mike Canestaro from his last appearance. You guys will be hearing him on the show again next week. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
I'm your host, Jason Marshall. with me today is... We're just going to do this every fucking time. Why not? With me today is comedian, actor, author, and Facebook
user. Avid. I would say avid Facebook user because like I was saying in the one episode that I did do a Facebook Live video.
Yeah.
Okay. And I actually had to unfriend somebody on Facebook, and I've now found out what that's like.
That's kind of one of those things that's sort of hard to do now, and you almost have to cross a line to be in that zone because you can just unfollow people now.
That's right.
Which is very nice. I thought about just going on and just being like, these 200 or 300 people I'm just going to unfollow, and now it's just me and these 20 people. That's what Facebook is now.
Yeah, you got it down to just like you and like your aunt, But like, the thing is, unfollow is good, and I don't do either. See, the thing is, I think it's kind of cheating if you unfollow because you want to see everybody's crazy opinions. You know what I mean? And just it's a challenge to just, I want to say something back, but then, just to look at it and then move on. I think it's a good skill to have to restrain yourself. But so unfollow was really handy come election time, I think. And people have now unfollowed everybody. And, but I don't actually follow politics too much, and I don't really have much respect for the broadcasting of political opinions. I think basically you're not changing anybody's mind. But people like to argue. I don't like to argue. I really don't. So I think the unfollow button helps, but I've never used that. I had to unfriend Father Time. That's for damn sure. That guy.
Now, you used to be his manager.
Nah. Yeah.
So
the funny thing is, okay, here's where Facebook will bite you in the ass if you get on Facebook just to try to have fun with people, is you'll comment and say, sure, I'd like to be that guy's manager. Like, I could use some extra dough now that I don't run the Wiley's open mic anymore, which is kind of also funny. That's about what I said because you don't really get paid much for that anyhow. So then he was just incessant with the manager thing, and then I actually got him booked at an assisted living center for $50. And then, and we were going back and forth, but it was really something I couldn't keep up with. But then I don't know what it was, is every time I posted a show, he would say, like, I could be your headliner or something, and when can I headline? And then direct messages all the time, and I let him build up until there was a little bold number 9 by him. I just look at how big did it get, and I'd never read them because I just didn't want to. There was always this thing where he just thought I worked for him somehow, like I owed him something, and finally I just like blurted out like in. I just responded like, quit bothering me, in like capital letters. So then I get a capital letter Facebook post on my wall like, what's wrong with you? I got 2 degrees and that. And he turns it on himself every time. So finally I just had to say, like, I'm pushing the button and I'm just going to unfriend the guy. And then they just virtually disappear. I've never done it before. Yeah. I've done it.
So
with...
you didn't just unfriend him, you blocked him?
Yeah, actually, it's not called unfriend. It's called block.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then what happens is if they appear, they're on a show somewhere, like normally you could click on someone's name and it's the link to their thing, even if you're not friends with them, but that disappears completely. They just virtually vaporize.
I saw a post where he basically told you to be a man.
Something about like that, yeah.
And I mean, it was just the most awkwardly brutal thing for somebody who has no justification to act that way.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's the thing is I just had to do it. It was just like it got to the point where I'm like, he would disappear for weeks at a time. And then I just finally had to say, I feel like I'm gossiping here, but this is kind of a story of it, and he's probably not listening. If he is, then I'll tell him. There was a show I was going to do with him that got canceled, and I was ready. I had the words picked out. I was like, we can be friends, just not on Facebook. It's like, what if you had a friend that was just going to go and knock on your door at any time and just ask stuff from you? But it was like sometimes 3 times a day, they would just it'd become too much. Yeah. So that's what's going on with social media now. But then I was wondering, who knows? He might get he probably doesn't know what happened, but I did. I hit the button, man. I hit it, and I said, and then Facebook tells you, like, sorry you had this experience. Like, they had to somehow apologize. Like, we're sorry you had this experience. So it was just an interesting thing. And as a avid Facebook user, I can't believe I've never used the unfriend button for somebody I know. You know what I mean? People I know.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Whatever. People unfriend me all the time. I mean, I don't know why. It's strange. I don't try to engage in any harsh conversations. I just try to goad people if I do. I'll be like, the thing about the election, and I'll be like, hi, how'd you go in there? I'll just goad people.
I was thinking about putting out a best of Father Time sometime.
Hey, he's got a story. It's fine. He's just super compulsive on Facebook. That's the only thing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, no. He's not just super compulsive on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Super compulsive on
everywhere.
any form of communication possible.
Yeah.
Person to person.
Yeah. This is kind of like, here's what this would be like, okay? So let's say you do comedy for a year, okay? It'd be like, I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to start playing golf. And then I'm going to be like my age, and I'm going to be like, I want to be in the Masters. Somebody get me in the Masters next year. I want to play, and I want to play with whoever's the big name in golf. I don't even know. Yeah. Say it was Tiger Woods. Say it was back to Tiger Woods. I want to be in his group. That's what it really is like. And the thing is, comedy is kind of brutal scene. And there's a lot of psychological assault, but you really need to just outlast such a long time. And I told him one time, I said, hey, it takes a long time. And he's like, I don't got time. I don't got enough time. And I'm like, well, then you're in the wrong thing. I mean, that's so that's the thing. But I still respect the guy, and but it's just, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't go to bed not knowing what time bomb would awaken. And then the fact is that everybody thought it was so funny, So I thought that I kept it going for that reason. But then there was a point where I just took a little step back from comedy anyhow. But apparently that didn't matter,
He didn't take a step back, so.
He didn't take a step back, so why should I, or something, or what I'm still, well, then I got more time to help him out, or something. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So
now you're doing less. You can help him do more.
I can do.
You shouldn't be such a greedy asshole.
I know.
And now that you're taking a step back, you need to give him a step up.
Yeah,
and get him all the gigs that you took a step back from.
It's crazy. Crazy. I hope he's doing well. I just haven't spoke with him. I will be friends face to face, but I just won't be. I'll be like, nope, you can't be friends with you on Facebook.
I thought about having him back on the show just because, other than the persistent
I wish
messages.
I wish him the best. But if he's mad, I'll tell you what, I think I could take him. I'm just saying, I can out stamina. He might catch me with a good shot if I don't expect it coming. He might Brock Lesnar me, and then he wears rings. He might knock me out.
He does wear
but
a lot
if
of
it
gold.
goes into multiple rounds, I think I got that guy.
Yeah?
I think I got him. So I think I feel like this has gone to professional wrestling mode now.
You're going to cut a promo on him?
I need to be like, Father Time, you bring whatever you got to bring, and I'll be ready.
Let me tell you something, bro.
If we ever do that chicken and waffles show for Andy Bowman, we are going to throw down.
Who consequently became his manager.
Yeah, I know. It's
well, the listeners
from afar.
So
I
I'm
guess
just letting everybody know that's kind of it's funny that you brought him up.
That would be a guy to do a good documentary on. If you said, hey, I got for $100, I will follow you to your shows and do a documentary on. He's unusual, and it would be something you could do a documentary on. That would be fun.
Yeah,
but
he's
I'm not signing up
a character,
for it.
Man.
He's a character.
100%.
So that's the thing. So, and I remember when I was still kind of messing around, just trying to he's like, so you're going to be my manager, and I'm like, okay, but you need better headshots, So then he says, well, what do you need? And I'm like, how about you near some train tracks or something? And I'm like, this guy's never going to go to the train tracks and take a picture of himself. But if you go look on his page, there's a couple pages. Now, one of the pages, he's got like headshots and there's train tracks in the background. It was like I wanted it to be like a band where they're on the train tracks and you see it coming. It's just got train tracks in the background. It's all it is, just like going diagonally, like just as if it just needed to be featured in the background. Not like you're on the train tracks, like you're cool, like you're a badass country band. It's like just near the train tracks. There you go. It was just matter of factly. And when I got back, and he's like, how about this? He had like 3 different pictures, all with the train tracks in the background. And I was like, or a brick wall. Uh-huh. And then he had a brick wall. He did everything I said. And I'm like, oh my God, now I feel really bad. He's really full on in it to win it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
That is one thing you can't question his dedication. He's very dedicated.
No, unfortunately, he's
not
going
to the writing part.
No, well, I mean, even that. The thing is, unfortunately, the kind of dedication you got to do is you got to show up and just hang out sometimes and be part of a scene. Like, let's say that you wanted to be in. This is why comedy sucks. Okay, let's say you want to be in, and you pick a remote city. Okay. Let's say you want to be in Indianapolis. You go to Wednesday night. Tuesday night, you go to Crackers. Wednesday night, you go to Morty's. You don't even have to live in that town. Nobody knows. Nobody knows you don't live. You're in there. You don't even tell them. You could be in that city, and you just hang out enough, and you need so much time, so much disposable time to do that. And if you have any ambition to create anything, you just have to sit there and swallow whatever thoughts you have, because you're going to have to, or bring a notebook or something. But it's going to be like being in church, except 3 times a week, because you're going to just be sitting there. You know what I mean? It's just like that. So that's what you have to do, and then people recognize your face, and then you get a spot here, you get a spot there. You don't want to be barging in on everybody and then demanding that you get the same stage time that somebody else sat on their ass for multiple times to get. You know what I mean? So you got to get past that stage. And then, frankly, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to go sit and just sit through comedy shows, then you have to just wait every other month until someone calls you. And then you just need to keep doing that. He doesn't have the time budget for that. Yeah. He's on the accelerated plan without doing the stuff that gets people to trust you.
And there is no accelerated plan.
There is none.
If I remember right, I think Dane Cook came up with something when MySpace was pretty much the first big social media outlet.
Yeah.
He got on there and got really popular because it had never been done. People weren't exposed to being able to reach out and talk to anybody around the world, their old classmates that moved away.
Yeah.
And until something like that comes along, you catch a lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you really got to have some luck to have an accelerated path,
or be different enough and luck. Be different enough and luck. Yeah. So to be honest with you, a guy like him could actually have what it takes to be different because he's so much older.
I know we've said some shit about him, but he's got so much going on. I mean, and I mean this in the very best way, but the stutter that he's got makes him. Well, to me, I think it's a plus. It makes him unique, and it humanizes the guy.
Yeah.
This man is on stage, which, everybody thinks, well, they're better than me. That's why they're on the stage. But then he's got this, and it kind of brings him to your level, and you kind of connect with him because even though he's on stage and he's, your mind, he's better than you because he's on an elevated platform with a spotlight and a microphone.
Yeah.
It brings him down a little bit. Plus, he's an older guy, which is somewhat endearing. And he's got a lot going on.
People give breaks to certain demographics, I will say. And so, like, if you're an older guy, I think people have been programmed. I've seen, I won't use names, but I've seen an older guy who just had tons of racist material. But he got a buy on it because he was in his 70s, and he had just a lot of racist material. And so the thing is, and it was, not just blatantly racist. It had a joke to it, but it was a lot of, he was a white guy and he had a lot of kind of black jokes that weren't, that's
He's
hard
just
to pull
the
off.
Archie Bunker of local comedy.
Well, no, it wasn't angry. It was just kind of playful, but it was racist. And then, then the thing is, everything's funny. Everything can be made funny, but he got a lot of buys because of his age, I think. And I think that's because maybe if you probably were raised with the idea that, hey, this is the elder gets more respect that way.
He could just rein his personality in and stop being so aggressive with bookings.
Yeah.
I think he would get so much further.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, you gotta be nice off stage. And, actually, there was a lot of people who were really older, and they weren't always, I don't even know, but do you remember Larry Bud Melvin from Late Show with David Letterman? He used to kind of talk really, he had a bow tie, I think, and he used to be a kind of guest. And he would do skits. He would do skits. He was probably in his 70s. He has squeaky voice with glasses.
Because I love David Letterman, man.
Yeah, it was Larry Bud Melvin or something like that. I bet you if you looked him up, if you Google search for it, David Letterman, you Google that. Yeah. That guy, they clowned him a little bit. He wasn't brilliant. He just could get up there and yell stuff. So he would do these skits, and he was super funny. I look forward to seeing him. There was another guy whose name was Brother Theodore. He was on Letterman a lot, too. He was an older guy, and he was just weird. If you just go Google Brother Theodore, he was like, he would get excited. He'd be banging the table, like the secret noodle ring in Minnesota is after me. They're after me, David. Like secret noodle ring in Minnesota was like a gang or something. Nothing he would say would be like, it'd just be like, where'd that all come from? But he would do theater shows, and he was just super funny. But he's passed away since then. He was really old. He was like probably pushing 80. But he was super funny and weird, hair all over the place. You just got to weird it up and be an old person. It'd be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of this like, hey, did you hear the one about the blah, blah, blah? You got to really be like...
Punch it up.
I think just being weird as an old person is funny. If you can be creatively weird, it's something I love. Yeah. So maybe he'll get there. It's all good.
Like I said, I really think he could if he would just dial that back some, where he's not emailing people and calling all day.
All that effort could be used to write some stuff in a notebook.
It's hard to imagine somebody could get ahead more if they didn't try so much.
You know what? I'll tell you right now. I'll get a friend request on Facebook, and the first thing I do if I see a guy with a microphone in his hand, I just look at what they're doing. And if they're from not the local area and I've never met them, I don't even accept anymore, because comics can be just a pain in the ass with all the direct messages and stuff. I don't book anybody that way anymore. Yeah, it's just stupid. I only run a stupid bar show every other month, but it's not worth doing that. When I was doing the open mic, we get a lot of requests. I even had a folder for the emails called the Naughty Corner. With people just over-demanding stuff, we'd put them all in the naughty corner.
Do you still have that?
What?
That folder?
No, I don't run that show anymore.
But I mean, you don't have a personal folder on your computer with anything like that?
You mean with emails from people?
Yeah.
It's all on Facebook now, but I mean, I haven't had much problem now that I don't run anything for a comedy club anymore. Damn. It's not as much desirable.
I was going to say, it would be awesome if you could get that, bring it to the show.
Karen Jaffe has it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's the one that's got it now. I think they even use the same email, so you could talk to her. She's probably got it. I bet you there's been some more additions.
Because I would love to have a segment on the show called The Naughty Corner, where it's just one of you reading one of the emails.
Just don't use somebody's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy who, there's a bringer requirement for the comedy club. You got to bring X number of people, or at least try. And he's like, I don't know, I don't need your bringer, I'm not going to, I would like to do some time without the bringer requirement. I'm like, who are you? I've never heard of you. Usually I've heard of people by then. And I'm like, well, good luck. And it'll be like, what I can bring is my ACT, A-C-T, in capital letters. That's in the naughty corner, that guy, whoever he is. He never got I said, good luck somewhere else, is basically what I said. Blessed luck, try some other rooms. That's what I always would say. If you're a jerk on email, you're probably a jerk.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And if you're a jerk on social media, you're probably a jerk. I think it translates, I mean, it's just but sometimes people just turn into little monsters when they don't have to look at each other, so then it's like I'll just be a jerk on email and I'll bully this person and they'll let me get on a show, some stupid show that doesn't even matter. And I'm like, do you realize that the brain clings to negative information 15 to 20 times greater than positive information. You really just actually just burned up all your goodwill. I wrote a blog. I have a blog site. I could send you the link later, but the title of one of my proudest works on my blog, I only made like 6 entries, I need to get back at it, was How Not to Be a Dick at a Mic.
I think I read that one.
Yeah, so I would suggest that, and it's basically how not to be a dick, how you can be a dick. Okay, so heck, I can go into it about 3 minutes if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, here's what you don't do. If anybody's listening, don't be a jerk on email. That's one, okay? Mm-hmm. Don't do end-around bullshit. So don't go call, it was Rob Haney back when I was running Wiley's. So then Rob would be kind of anxious about this stuff because he didn't want people showing up just like, hey, I want to get on. He wanted us to take care of it. Me and Joanne would take care of it. So what we'd get is we'd get these people calling, and it'd be like, hey, X just called, and they want to get on the show. How come didn't answer their email? And I'm like, because they didn't email. And then what they'd do is they'd email, like, can I be on March 12th? And then you would be, like, bogged down with all the other emails and not respond. And they'll show up like, I emailed asking, does that mean I'm on the show? Yeah, all 87 of us are on the show. Everybody that emailed is on the show. We're going to do 27 seconds, and we'll show you a light at 18 seconds.
That should be your next cat show.
What?
You just book everybody in the area. Everybody gets 27 seconds. You better shine.
See, I wrote a novel for this reason, and I got to say, I'll reveal something out of the novel because, 8 people have read it now. So the guy just loses his shit, and he does do that. He actually got so absorbed with doing a weekend for the other club, he forgot to book the other show at the club. He just says everybody who shows up gets time, and the show has 37 people on it. And then he's going to quit anyhow. So he just runs. He wants to run a 3-hour show and just then bolt during the middle of it, not even get paid. So he kind of loses his shit towards the end, and he's ready to quit. And that's what happens to the character.
And that's in your book, Not Making It.
It's in Not Making It,
which people can find on Amazon.
On Amazon,
and,
yeah.
Is there any other places?
I haven't checked. I've always had my books go through what they call expanded distribution, which means that Barnes & Noble could sell it also. It probably usually is more expensive. It's on eBay. Some guy in Australia has listed it on eBay for $40-some, and you could buy it on Amazon for $12.99, but you could go get it from Australia for $47 and have it take a month to get here, and you could buy it that way if you want. Because that guy in New Zealand or in Australia is brilliant, and I watched it. I stumbled upon it because I was doing it on Amazon. Then eBay's got that thing, they do the cookie thing, and then all of a sudden, what you've been looking at one site, eBay's got it now.
I see what you're saying.
And I'm like, what that my book is on there, and I'm like,
did you get a sale from? Is the guy just
what would happen is I would get a sale. No, he hasn't sold any for $47.
Well, I mean, have you sold any to Australia from Amazon?
I don't know.
When
I buy something,
is he just going to buy one when he gets a hit?
When he gets a hit, he's going to buy it. It's going to take a month to get there. It's going to take a month to get back. It's going to take the longest time ever. I think that's what they do. They actually go, and actually all my books are done that way. So I discovered that anything with my name, if you type it into eBay, I got all my books come up. And they're all way more expensive than if you just went on Amazon. So I think what they're doing is they're actually going to buy it. Once you buy it there, they're overcutting everybody. It's not undercutting, overcutting.
Maybe I should
it's interesting.
do that.
Yeah, I know it's
I
kind of.
didn't know that was a business model.
It's not a good one, but if you don't have anything, if you have something that people don't know about, then you could do that. So you could sell it on eBay and you could sell it for way more. Just because someone stumbled upon it for some reason. It was somebody who didn't know any better, didn't explore their options. But I literally priced that book as low as it could go without Amazon saying you can't price it any lower. So I don't make a big royalty. I make like $2 on each book. So I did really good around Christmas, for me. But now I'm just on to the next one. I belched out all my bitterness from answering fucking emails from comics. And it made me bitter, and then what they do is they go, then they show up and go over their time after they bothered you this much. And then they want a weekend out of it. So then they want you to have the owner go watch you or the manager go watch that thing. And they want They want a headline when they're done 3 sets ever. There's just so much that they could do that's bad.
The whole headlining thing, that just kills me.
Yeah.
I had a guy on the show. He was booked to do a company party.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to do stand-up comedy. He's never done it before.
Yeah.
He agreed to it, and
Good.
then found out that they wanted him to do 45 minutes.
Oh God, yeah, that's the new people. That's the thing.
He was terrified once he found out. He was like, "Well, I don't have any jokes. How am I going to do 45? I've never done stand up.
Crowd
you
work.
just thought I was funny. I thought I was going to get up there and do like 3 to 5 minutes. You want 45?
5 minutes is an eternity. Your first time, man, it is an eternity.
He ended up pulling it off. So if you want to hear that show, it's called Snuff Dog. Go.
He must be a real funny guy. I bet you a real funny person could do that if it was the kind of guy who would bust up a room of college kids when you're in college